You're welcome back to Relationships with Adenike. On today's Behind the Pulpit episode, we've been talking to Pastor Taiwo Odukoya about various issues on marriage and ministry and setting up the right foundation for both of them to work together. And just before we went on a break, we had some very deep conversations about when life happens and the journey back to being a single parent, a single pastor. And you know, I was just thinking to myself, Pastor Taiwo, that I'm sure there were many that felt that, well, this is now your lot in life. It's time to, you know, just continue till Jesus comes as a single person. What would you say that, you know, were some of the things that you experienced during that time, that journey, and how did you know you were ready for relationships and to just have a different experience in your life in that area?
Typically of anybody in that situation, you're coming from a wounded position. Oh yes. And it's like you're trying to affirm your faith again.
Yes.
But like I said, God is so merciful and ever faithful and never taken unawares on any issue that affects man.
Yes.
He told me, he said, no, you didn't bring yourself this far.
Yes.
And so you won't be the one to take yourself further, which meant trust me, which was what I was doing. But you know, I had my issues. Now, part of the peculiarities of the challenges of that transition period is one, loneliness.
Yes.
Number two, meeting up with your responsibilities, as it were, where there have been two people, you are the only one. But the grace of God that really worked for us was found in the fact that at every stage of the ministry, and of course our lives, just like we're raising our children, we're raising leaders and everybody around.
Yes.
And one thing that God particularly did for me was that He gave me people. People stood by me.
Yeah.
People, I mean, matured Christians stood by me. They filled in the gap at every turn. And so delegation became very easy. Some were so proactive that they would have made the move, anticipating that I will have a need in the area.
Right.
And so they just stood as a solid block.
Yes.
And that was an incredible blessing. Okay. And so in the area of the ministry front, it was pretty easy. Things just continued to happen.
Right.
And answering the issue of loneliness, I got so busy really that except when I got home, I would not even remember that I was, you know. It would look like, oh, she just traveled, or she just went to minister somewhere,
Yes.
coming back.
Yes.
But when you get home, then you know that, you know, you face the issue. I got by until suddenly every lady that walked past would look like, this can be a possibility, you know.
Yes.
You never thought you would get there.
Yes.
Like some even approached me to say to me that, I think that you're going to be like Apostle Paul, which means the gift of celibacy.
Yes.
I probably played with that too for some time, but I realized that it was not realistic. So the question then was, who are you impressing?
That's
are
a
you
good
living
point.
to impress people, or you are trying to impress God, that is in His will? And of course, be truthful to yourself.
Yes, to yourself be true.
So see this, see that. Well, God, help me, help me. And everywhere I went to minister to, my friends would invite me for a conference or for administration, and everyone had a lady waiting that, look, probably this is who God would like you to marry. Everywhere in the world.
It was eligible pastor in town.
And but I knew that it was getting to time that I should think of it.
Yes.
Listening to Oral Roberts and Benny Hinn on one of the programs before he passed on, Oral Roberts said, I travel quite a bit in my early days, and sometimes I go on for a week, 2 weeks, you know, in the field.
Yes.
Said, but the moment what you call these people that took care of the hotel,
PA, hospitality,
hospitality, caterers, and
yes.
said the moment the woman that comes in looks so attractive to me, I know that it's time to go back home. To my wife.
Yes.
And now there was no wife to go to.
Yeah.
So that meant that there was a wife to come in. That there was a wife rather to come in. So I began to settle that with God.
Okay, so interesting. So I think we've got to the very juicy part of our conversation today with Pastor Taiwo, and it's my privilege and my honor to invite the, for me, very beautiful and lovely Pastor Nomthi Odukoya to join us on today's show. Pastor Nomthi, Thank you very much for joining us on Relationships at Adenike. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Good. We've been having a very interesting, wonderful conversation with Pastor Taiwo. And we literally got to the point where I can say that, you were the light at the end of the tunnel. Literally. As we were talking about, just he's coming back into the world of relationships and starting all over again. So I know a lot of our single audience, because we have quite a few people, would be very interested in, this part of your story. I mean, how do you fall in love again after being married before? And how do you hit it right the second time? Because she's just so perfect.
It was long coming, like
Yeah.
I said. And when you anticipate something and you're believing God,
Yes.
then very likely you recognize when it appears on the horizon. Our story is, again, like I said, every pastor friend had somebody for me. But my friend, who happened to be her pastor,
Yes.
did not have her in mind for me. He had somebody else in
Oh.
mind for me. And at this point, I wasn't looking forward to anybody,
Yes.
I mean, from their church.
Yeah.
So I got there, ministered the best I could, enjoyed my ministration,
Yes.
and was about to go. My friend said, "You can't just go away this way. Did you see this person?" I said, "Candidly, I didn't look at her that way." And they said, "Okay, but I think it would be a perfect one for you." I mean, people were worried for me, actually. And I said, "I don't think so." They did all they could, but I won't go into details. And then at the time, I remember I had to sign something. She had to bring it to sign, which I did. And then he tried again. I said, "No, don't even try. She's a good woman. I know clearly that she's not for me. I will frustrate her. I don't want to do that."
Right.
Then I was about to leave. Then I made a statement. I said, if you had asked me concerning someone else, I said, "Who?"
Okay.
I said, not that I thought of it, but see, like the lady that sang.
Oh.
I said, really? Really? I said, "Not in my wildest dreams."
Who would have thought about
I
that?
said, "Well, that's the way it is with man and God."
Yes, it
Not
is,
even
isn't
in our
it?
wildest dreams. But,
Yes.
but when we have a revelation of what God has for us,
Yes.
it's not just wildest dream, it becomes perfect dream.
Oh, wow, nice.
So, I mean, we went back and forth. He said, "Okay, if that's the case," I think I approached her. If you don't mind, can I let her take over from here?
Definitely, because I think she might make that story just a
Yes.
tad bit more juicy.
Well, at that time, I actually had somebody I was going out with.
Oh, this is getting even more interesting.
and my pastor then knew
Yes.
about it.
Right.
But he still called me the Sunday after the conference.
Mm.
And he said, "Well, Pastor, you already know that I have somebody."
Yes.
But interestingly enough, on Wednesday, like 3 days after my pastor had called me, the guy just started playing up.
Oh, wow.
But still, when that happened, well, I still tried to drag it.
Yes.
As ladies, when a relationship is starting to fall off, we try to mend it. So I still tried to
patch it up. Let's see if
patch
we can
it
make
up
it
a
work.
bit, let it work. I think it took me about 2 weeks trying to patch it up until I just gave up.
Amazing. That's interesting.
But I still didn't tell my pastor that I had broken up with that guy.
Yes.
It was only 3 months later that he found out. And how he found out was because I was always in church. When there was choir practice, I would be there. And I had a terrible cold. It was winter. It was during winter. And I had a terrible cold. So he happened to come to church during choir practice, and he noticed that I wasn't there. He asked me, and they told him I had a cold. So he called me, "Oh, I heard you had a cold." I said, "Yes, I have a terrible cold." So that's why I couldn't come. And he said, "How far with that guy?" I was like, I didn't want to tell him because I really didn't want anybody at that time.
Yes.
Sometimes you just need some time after a relationship. You need some time to be by yourself.
Yes.
So I reluctantly told him that I had broken off with the guy. And the following day he called to say, "Remember, I had called you 3 months ago and everything." But he didn't want to tell me who the person was.
So you
He
didn't
just
know
said-
at
I
all
didn't know
all
at
the
all.
while.
He just said I should pray, and I said, "How do I pray if I don't know who I'm
What I'm
praying
praying about.
He said, "Just pray." So I went to God. I said, "God, Pastor says I should pray. I don't know who I'm praying."
I
It
like
sounds
that.
yeah.
Very simple.
And
Very
I don't know what I'm
childlike.
praying about. But it helped. Praying helped because after 3 days, as I was praying, was, okay, let me pray and think. Who could this person be? Who would be so bold as to go to my pastor the first day? Because I knew that it was a person who was there during the conference.
Okay.
And when I thought about it, I was like, could it be that my pastor's friend who came to minister? No way.
No way.
No way. So when he called the following day, have you prayed? I said, I have, but could it be your friend? Because if it's your friend, I think he's older than me.
Exactly.
So pastor said, am I old?
Oh my goodness. Talk about putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I said, no, pastor, you're not old. So it was fun.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I told him my concerns, I was like, no, because of age, because he doesn't live in either in South Africa or London.
Yes.
I don't think so.
I don't think it's going to work.
He just said, go and pray. And I prayed and started reading. By then we had started talking. It was just me and my pastor.
Yes.
And he said I should read. There was a book he had seen me reading a book on Esther. So I said, go back to that book, read it again. I read the book, and I even went to the Bible again and read the story of Esther. And God led me to the story of Ruth. And I learned something I had never noticed before.
Yeah.
That Ruth, obviously with Boaz, were not from the same country. Ruth was a foreigner. And Esther and the king were not the same. And I saw for the first time, I noticed for the first time the age difference.
Yes.
That the king was older than Esther, Boaz was
older than Ruth.
Like,
the two things you had concerns
so
about. Oh my goodness.
Those were the things I had concerns about. So I had my peace. And then I went back to pastor and said, okay, then we can try. Because I think I've prayed and God is I'm at peace with it.
Yes.
That's when we started talking.
So I know you then obviously met up together and, you'd have gone through those processes. Let me ask you, especially because the issue of dating and courtship is always such a controversial topic, especially for most Christians and the rest of it. Can you tell me, I mean, I love the fact that this started off from a place of prayer, and submission.
Yes.
Because I see God working in your hearts and just tuning it. But can you just tell me some of the qualities that you absolutely just discovered about each other and just made you know this is it for me?
I'll go first.
Yes, please.
That first time he would call me, obviously I had prayed, Lord, how do you talk to a pastor who had come to your church as a guest minister? How do you talk about love with that person? If you understand what I'm saying.
That's
it was
very
a bit awkward for me. So, okay, love. So, but I just had to tell him up front that I was a bit uncomfortable. Yeah.
Oh,
I said,
that's
I'm
good.
actually shy, and I'm talking to you right now. So that broke the ice.
That broke the ice. That vulnerability. You were open. You were very straightforward.
Yeah.
That's important.
So he made me feel at ease. He started talking. I was like, okay, started relaxing.
Loosening up.
Which is what most ladies are looking for. Somebody who will make them feel comfortable. And
that's true.
Yeah. So
that's
I
true.
felt I could say anything. I could say whatever I wanted to say. By the end of the conversation, I could feel that we were flowing.
Jelly.
They were
It
jelly.
flowed.
Yes.
I like that. Pastor Taiwo, what would you say? Especially with that conversation, or not even beyond that, what struck you? How do you go from, because we know obviously that you must have been a serious man of God to say that she's the one. But then what really struck you? Because people had tried to matchmake you. What was different about Pastor Nomthi?
Yes. That day, particularly when I was ministering, and remember, I was not thinking of ever talking to her.
Yes.
I was preaching with so much passion because it was a topic that was very dear to my heart. And they had finished singing, and she was somewhere in the audience. I was thinking about. Then right in the heat of it, she got up, moved from where she was sitting at the back, and walked right to the second row, and she was all enraptured with the message.
Oh, Pastor Nomthi.
And I thought to myself, say, thank God, at least I'm connecting with these people. And quite a bit of reaction from the congregation. But I never forgot the encouragement that gave me, that somebody got so interested in what was there. And when invariably we got to that place with the pastor, and that was what made me say, if you had asked me about the person, the lead singer, it would have been something.
Yes.
That was what actually introduced that to me.
Yes.
Not even when she was singing.
Yes, yes.
And I thought, wow, someone that loved the Lord so much. that will give so much attention to, you know. And you can imagine when something is a burden to you and you're passionate about it and you were talking about it and somebody just kind of, I zeroed in with you. So we could be one on this matter.
Yes.
It gave me a lot of encouragement that this person loves the Lord and this person will go forward with the Lord. So that was easy for me. So when it zeroed in on her, I knew that, well, I have a basis.
Wow.
To go on this journey.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And what makes it more interesting, though, I was in the US, my 3 children they were around, and then we were talking, the pastor and I was trying to understand who exactly I was talking about, brought a photograph, and I said, this one. She said, what struck him was, there were married women there, you didn't point to them. You pointed.
Because you didn't know. There was absolutely no way you would know.
I didn't know. I said, to him, that was a confirmation. Then my children and I got talking. I said, look like I found someone, finally.
Okay.
I said, really? I said, I have a photograph here. And I brought it. It was a group photograph. And they said, I said, no, you tell me, what do you think? Individually and separately. One said, this. I said, okay, fine, you stand apart. They all pointed to her.
Wow.
I said, why? They said, we don't know. We just think she must be the one.
She must be the one.
So we got talking, and then I was flying back to Nigeria, passing through Manchester to minister. Tolu, my eldest daughter, was with me.
Yes.
So that will be the first time I will meet her and talk to her.
Right.
So she came to see us, arranged by her pastor, and then Tolu opened the door. Hello, hello. And they got talking, and they got it off. From there, they just got it on.
Oh.
And I was left alone. I sat there watching.
What's going on here?
And then they went away. I said, okay. They went to the kitchen. They were talking, singing, laughing, and dancing.
What's going on here? How did I get sidelined?
If she stayed with us for an hour or 2 hours, she was with Tolu for 1 hour, 45 minutes. I have to, excuse me, can I be part of what is happening? And with that again, I knew that I found a rhythm here.
Yes.
And then another point, when finally she visited here, she will visit twice, and she'll be in church, and nobody will know. Because someone in church, like I said, they hate me around, supporting me. The women rose up. Who is this person? I told them about her. So one of them swung into action. She was always in England, befriended her, and they always go out together talking and everything. And then when she will come, she will receive her.
Yes.
Host her. Get the car, get everything for her. She will just visit with me occasionally. She will come to church. Nobody will know.
Nobody will know who she is. Incognito.
It happened twice, right?
Yes.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah.
Okay. Then on one occasion, she had to meet my late father-in-law, Pastor Bimbo's father. So I brought her in. The reaction was kind of surprising.
Yes.
The old man sat down. The moment she walked, he sat up. Then he turned to me. He said, why is it this way? I didn't know what he meant. I said, I'm kind of
taken aback.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. He said, why does she look so much like Bimbo?
Yes.
She's
classic
so much
comment.
like her.
Yeah.
I said, well.
Amazing.
I said, did you go out for it? I said, no. It just happened.
I didn't do anything.
So I probably must have seen the kind of features I like in a woman, which transcends the physical in her.
Second time a charm.
I was surprised one day because I then went to Google to check on him.
Yes, because you didn't know much about him then.
Yeah. And as I was still reading, I saw that his late wife's name was Rosemary.
Yeah.
And my name is Rosemary.
Yes, Rosemary.
I was like this in front of the computer. I literally did like this. How can that be? How could he have had a wife?
Wow, I didn't even. Yes.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I wish I didn't have to do this. We're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back in the final segment. I know everyone is as transfixed and you're like, where are you going?
I'll be right back.